Hello, Merry Christmas and a happy brand new year in a few days from now. I am super excited for thus far God has brought each and every one of us. Again, this is your girl, Dr. Chinwe Okudo, a transformational life purpose coach, a healthcare provider, and I welcome you to tonight's episode of the Inspired Women Show, your path to life purpose discovery. And tonight's topic is actually conclusion of the year and also an answer to the question of one of my favorite viewers, Heather Williams. So tonight's topic is how to be intentional about living your life purpose in 2021. So, as we all know, purpose is the very essence of our existence. Or for those of us that do not know, yes, that is what life is all about. Is about our life's purpose. Without purpose, abuse is inevitable. Everything we do in life, we must have to understand the purpose behind whatever we're doing. For us as an individual, we must understand what is our life purpose. What am I here for? Because if you cannot understand why you're here, then you're going to live your life aimlessly, upset, depressed, sad, unaccomplished, because you don't know what you're here for. You're just going to get up and go to a job and be unsatisfied. Because a job is something that you're paid to do, but a work is what you're called to do. When, if we remember, Christ said, I go about doing the work of He that has sent me. So our life's work is our calling, but not a job. So it's very important that we discover what is our purpose so that we can be able to walk in line with God's plan and purpose for our lives. So, first of all, for us to be able to identify what our life's purpose is, we first of all must identify who we are. Who are you? That's a question that we need to sit back and ask ourselves. Who are you? Because most times people go about trying to be somebody else because they don't understand who they are. They are trying to buy brand name stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love brand name stuff. But sometimes you see people trying to get things to help them to belong to a certain group or a certain class of people just because they're trying to identify to a certain group of people. And that could also be as a result of not knowing who they are. You see, sometimes people commit crimes because they want to wear certain kinds of things or live a certain way because they don't know who they are. I mean, if God blesses you with the resources to buy those great things, good and fine, go ahead and enjoy it. There's nothing wrong about it. But when people go out of their way to commit crime in order to do certain things or to wear certain things or to have certain things that are that can fade away in a matter of months or years, then that's where lack of or problem with identity sets off. So first of all, we need to identify who we are and why we are here. And how do you identify why you're here? First of all, it starts with identifying your giftings. What is it that you can do better than anybody else? What is it that you can do effortlessly without thinking about it? Heather, to answer your question, one of the questions she asked was, how did I find my purpose and how did I come up with my practice and the things that I do in my practice? Now, to answer that question, part of the thing that I do effortlessly is creativity. Another way to also identify what your purpose is what is it that people always come to you for help with? Or what is it that people have told you that you're good at? You know, I remember when I was back in Nigeria, when my granddad was sick, I was in the hospital taking care of him. And the nurses there, at that point, I was actually in the university studying law. Because back in Nigeria or in Africa, if you're not a lawyer or a doctor, you've not arrived. So there's this need to either be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. But then I hated math so much, so being a doctor was nowhere within my reach or something that I thought I could ever do because I hated maths. So then, because I did not like maths, what happens is each time I'm in a maths class, what am I doing? I am drawing clothes. I am designing things because that's something I'm very good at. I am very creative. I love creativity in any form. I love to look good, and I love to see people look good. So anything that is in line with looking good, a home looking good, somebody else looking good, that's something that I love to do. And as a young child, I always found myself in the midst of people that are way older than me. What am I always doing? Counseling. I always find myself counseling people and being that support for people. Now, I've told you that the nurses that were there in the hospital where I was taking care of my granddad then told me that I was supposed to be a caregiver or a nurse. But then I laughed about it because I'm like, I'm a law student. I have nothing to do with nursing. Are you kidding me? I'm in the University of Nigeria, one of the best universities in Nigeria, studying law. So being in the nursing field was nowhere near my imagination, considering where I was. But again, remember, not just our giftings determines our purpose, also the life experiences that we find ourselves in. How you were born, the story of your life, and the things that you've been faced with is all part of your plan, of God's plan and purpose for your life. Is all part of the planning to get you to live that purpose that you're called to live. So again, I have shared in an earlier video of how I came to be and the things that I went through. If you want to know, you can go back to those videos because I don't want this video to be too long, so I don't want to go in details explaining that. You can go back to the video on forgiveness and watch that. You can understand my life story. So all my life, I've had issues earlier on with self-esteem because of the story surrounding my bed. Again, I always seen myself wanting to look a certain way because I don't ever want people to look at me differently. I always see myself trying to be a certain way because of the things that I've been faced with. I've gone through, like I shared in an earlier video, I've gone through marital problems that got me feeling rejected, where I was abused and battered. That affected my self-esteem completely. So I lost my self-esteem. And all my life, I've always seen myself trying to be a certain shape. I've struggled, even though I've never been big all my life. But in my head, there was this thing in my head that always told me I was big, and I was always struggling to be a certain way. So almost for as long as I've known, I've always been struggling with my weight, trying to eat right, trying to exercise wasn't something that I was very good at, but dieting has been something that I struggled a lot with, trying to find the right diet, trying to be a certain weight and all that. And that's something that I've been struggling with for so long. So when it came to my time to open my practice, I sat down and I thought about it, and I pray a lot. I seek the face of God a lot in what I'm doing. And when I prayed, the Lord laid it in my heart, so that like it was like a dialogue. We started talking about what are the things that I love to do. I love to counsel people. I love to see people look good. I love to see women lifted. So I sat down and I said, okay, all my life, one thing I've struggled with is my weight. And another thing I love to do is to see women look good. And I heard in my spirit, check aesthetics. I don't even know at that point what aesthetics is. I didn't know anybody that had an aesthetics practice in my area. But the Lord laid it in my heart to look it up, and I looked it up and I found a place where I could go and learn more about that. And I flew out of state and I went and did the necessary trainings that I needed on top of my degree to be able to prepare me to do that. So I had shared in an earlier video that if you find what your purpose is, take time to develop it. It's one thing to know that this is something you're very good at. This is something that you can do all day long without even being paid. That's part of what your purpose is something that you could do without being paid for it. But again, when you find that thing, you have to take time to invest to develop it so that you can be among the best in it. So that's what I did. I went and got the necessary training to prepare me for what I felt was part of what I was called to do. And that's how my practice, Balm of Gilead Health and Wellness Center, came to be, which is an aesthetics, mental health, which is where I spend time talking to people and also prescribing medications to help them bring their mind right. And I could see the difference that I make in their life. Each person that comes in, the one thing that I always tell me before is like, I've been to several mental health providers, but none has ever treated me the way you've treated me. None has ever talked to me the way you talk to me. Because of what? It's my calling. When you're serving in your place of calling, you serve with a difference, you make an impact. But when you just when you just do a job, you just do a job just to get paid. But when you serve your purpose, you serve it and you make an impact, because that is what you're called to do. So I make an impact each day in my practice, in the way that I relate to my clients, because it's my calling. I stepped into my calling. Part of my calling is to be able to care for people, is able to make people feel good about themselves, is being able to transform people in a way that they can be transformed both emotionally and physically. And I feel fulfilled because I stepped into my purpose. So I had already shared again the things that I've been through. Those things that I've been through, like I said earlier in an earlier video, that the things you go through is all part of your plan, part of God's plan and purpose for your life. Okay, your mess is your message. So from the things that I've been through, the challenges also that I've been through in my life, it all prepared me and led me into the next phase. Because another thing you have to understand about purpose is that your purpose may evolve. It might be one thing, but the things and the way you're supposed to use it to serve evolves over time. So at a particular time, it was to start that practice, and by starting that practice led to now evolved into the point where I am now, to be able to use the pain that I've been through and also use my training to be able to help other women to discover the purpose behind their own pain and be able to begin to live a profitable life out of their pain and purpose, out of their pain, and understand the purpose behind it, and begin to build their self-confidence and become all that they're called to be, which was part of the reason why I came up with my book, Celebrate Your Uniqueness. Lady, you are good enough. Why? Because it's something that I've dealt with. I've dealt with self-esteem issues. I've been told that I cannot amount to much. I've shared that in an earlier video. I've been told that I'm not worth nothing. I've shared in another video again, whereby I finished cooking and my late ex came back and was spraying air freshener in the whole house that my food was smelling like shit. That was the word. And that damaged me so badly. I mean, it made me feel worthless. So I've dealt with self-esteem issue myself. Yes, to answer your question, Heather, I have dealt with self-esteem issues, and it was not until, I can't even remember, a few years ago that I really overcame that issue of low self-esteem and began to understand that I am unique. That every life experience, including how I was born, the challenges that I've been through in marriage, and everything that I've gone through, they are all part of my unique package that God has been preparing me to serve a purpose. So your life purpose is being able to use the giftings that you're given and what life experiences you've been given to serve, to make an impact, to transform someone else's life. So as we're going into 2021, I want you to intentionally sit down and ask yourself, what is my life purpose? Who am I? What has life given me all this while? What am I supposed to be doing with that? If you have a problem discovering this, I have a course, discover the purpose behind the pain. It guides you, it breaks it down in depth. I can't make this video too long, so I have to cut a lot of things short and try to wrap things up. So that course is a very detailed 6-week course that can help you to understand what is your purpose, what are you here for, how can you use the pain that you've been through to turn it into a profitable career for you, because your purpose is meant to make you successful if you're able to step into it. Sometimes we kind of know what we are called to do, but out of fear or judgment of what other people will have to say about what we're doing, we kind of shrink down and we don't want to get up and do what we're called to do. Before we were formed, there's already a purpose for our lives. Even before we were formed, He already knew what we are called to be, but it's again, God cannot come down and make us do what He has planned for us to do. We have to make that decision to follow our purpose and to be intentional about living it. How can you stay intentional about living your purpose? By not comparing yourself with the next person, by not trying to fit into somebody else's criteria, by understanding that you're unique, that you're uniquely set apart for your own calling. Like I always say, we are unique creatures here on a heroic mission. There is a heroic assignment that you're here to fulfill, and it's your responsibility to be able to sit down and analyze your life story, analyze the things that you've been through, analyze your giftings, and find out what is it that you can do effortlessly. How can you use it to serve? Living life is about serving, using the giftings that you've been given, both the natural giftings and the life experiences, that they're all gifts that you've been given, to being able to use it to serve, to transform someone else's life, to make an impact, to make a lasting change in somebody else's life. That's when you begin to live. So make it a commitment in 2021 to find what your purpose is and make a committed effort to begin to live it by trying to live an authentic life, not comparing yourself with somebody else, setting up goals to help you to achieve what you're created to do. Be intentional about living a purposeful life in 2021. If you need help figuring that out, you can sign up for my course, and you can also send me an email at info@inspiredtobecome.com, and I can guide you more on that. Also, if you're struggling with your self-esteem, you can grab my new book, Celebrate Your Uniqueness, Lady, You Are Good Enough. Simple steps to rebuilding your self-esteem. And it's not just for you, it talks about how you can help your child rebuild their self-esteem, because low self-esteem is something that starts from early childhood, and according to studies, 4 in 5 women suffer from low self-esteem, and 7 out of 10 girls also suffer from low self-esteem. So it's a big problem. I did not understand the impact or how many women that are being impacted by low self-esteem. It was a book that I just came up with out of the things that I was experiencing from the women that I encounter in my office, and also understanding that it's something that I've dealt with myself, and I felt it was a very important need that needed to be addressed, and I came up with that book. And the reviews has been amazing. Everyone that have read this book have so much great things to say about it. If you've not gotten that book, I encourage you to get it. It's gonna serve you some good. You're gonna thank God for me for helping me to put that book together, because I couldn't have done it by myself. So it's been a pleasure sharing this video. Heather, I hope I answered your question. If you still need more clarity, you can also comment on the video. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment on the video. Also send me an email. The link to the book will be under this video, the link to my website, and the link for you to either join my Facebook community. I have a group, Inspired Woman Community, where we encourage and inspire one another to be better in our lives. You can join that group and be a part of a community that tends to inspire one another. It's been a pleasure. I wish you all a happy holidays. Have a glorious new year. This is going to be my last video for the year, and I will see you all in the new year. Remember to watch my video, the previous video I have on avoiding self-sabotaging behaviors to be able to live a purposeful life in 2021. Watch that video. It has some important tips in it that can help us to prepare for 2021, and I encourage you to do that. Prepare for your 2021. Start now to plan your life so that you cannot go into 2021 struggling. I also have a whole lot of great things coming our way on the show in 2021. I'm going to be bringing in a couple of guests, and we're going to be sharing some important topics. So stay tuned and be blessed. Bye bye.